When it comes to Coastal Carolina University's MBA program, the business is great. What's it all about? You'll find out coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the South Carolina Employment Security Commission's Coastal Workforce Center on Victory Lane in Conway, serving the entire Grand Strand. We're focused on Coastal Carolina University's recently launched Master of Business Administration program, and we're visiting with its director, John Locks. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm anxious to talk to you.
The big graduation weekend this past weekend, just right a couple of blocks from here.
And we have a lot of great graduates looking for great things for the population of the Grand Strand and
both this area and abroad. And now, this was not that you have not yet graduated any of the folks that kicked off the program. I guess August of 2006, the program just kicked off last year.
Right. Our first graduates will be in December.
Okay.
We're looking to graduate probably 6 to 7, and so it'll grow from there.
This has been very exciting, had it being on the ground floor of a new MBA program.
Oh yeah, the opportunities are endless for us to grow, and we can get into that a little bit later on. But
yeah.
The program is just it's exciting from a number of viewpoints, both from the business school in particular, but the employers around the South Carolina area, and particularly around here, have been very supportive of the MBA program. You know, there is a need for a higher caliber of business employee.
Right.
That's one of the things that we're providing.
And MBA programs really get into the nitty-gritty. It's not just esoteric. It's really getting into the meat and potatoes of a small business or big business.
Oh, we're training our students to do either. The MBA program is a 36-hour program. Typically, if you're a full-time student, that's 9 to 12 hours. You can graduate in 3 semesters.
Great.
So we have an accounting concentration as well as a general MBA. And we'll expand from that in the future. The program started with about 25 students in it, and it has grown to over 40 currently.
Is that right? Great.
We have an acceptance for the fall of another 10 to 15, with another 10 or 15 in process. So we think that we'll be somewhere in that 50 to 60 range for the fall. So for a first-year program,
that's very aggressive. For a first-year
strong
program. Sure. That's tremendous. Real quick about yourself, John. Are you originally from the area?
From Virginia originally, Greg.
Okay.
Did a lot of work at the University of Virginia. Went into the business world. Came back after business world retired and went into the education just as a broad brush.
To the University of Virginia?
No. If you want a chronological,
give it to us. It'll make it easier to then get some good questions out of that.
Okay. Undergraduate, I did a little graduate work at the University of Virginia. Began my work history with a company called Unilever, which is an Anglo-Dutch company. And I was working in sales and in marketing, in corporate development, and M&A work for a division of Unilever called Thomas J. Lipton.
Okay.
Lipton tea,
Lipton
salad
tea,
dressing.
sure. Yeah, we should have had some sitting out here. Yeah.
And from there I went to Planters Nuts, which was a division of RJR and Nabisco now.
Of course.
And did sales, marketing work there and some other things. Then from there went to the Sara Lee Corporation. There's a number of divisions there, primarily in the food divisions. Still same kind of work, sales, marketing, corporate development. I left Sara Lee in the early 90s to start my own company.
Is that right?
Consulting company that began work in Europe. So I lived and worked in Eastern Europe for a number of years.
In Eastern Europe.
That was right after the fall of the wall, and that's another segment.
That must have been exciting, yeah.
So, and then from there, I came back to Mississippi, where
Had you had ties to Mississippi formerly?
Not really. I had worked at a division of Sara Lee then, and my mother-in-law at that time had moved down there. So
right.
When we left Europe, we went to Mississippi just to say howdy, kind of thing. And then the university grabbed me there, and I started an international business program there.
Is that right, at the University of Mississippi?
No, it's Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, excuse me.
So that was a very, very academically successful program, and also one that was very successful for the business population. We're talking about the MBA program, but this gives you an emphasis that it was international business at Mississippi State, and then most recently joined the Coastal family.
The Wall
College of Business.
Thank you, the Wall College of Business, and of course kicking off this program. That is tremendous. And University of South Carolina has a strong international business program, don't they, as well?
Yes, they've been well.
When you mentioned Mississippi State,
well established. USC, Thunderbird out in Arizona, Wharton,
right,
has a
in Pennsylvania.
Good program.
Good.
We are more domestic. Our focus is not only for students, obviously in the area and in South Carolina, and we're probably going to attract a lot more from the northeastern corridor, which is the attraction for coastal in general. So our focus is more domestic, although we will be adding and have now components that allow our students to do things internationally, whether it's an internship or whether it's study abroad. And we'll have some exchanges for MBAs to get that diversity that we really need. But business now is defined as global.
Yes.
There's no such thing as local business. It's all global and local, if you will. So our students must have an appreciation for the rest of the world.
That is interesting. Of course, having yourself lived abroad and worked quite a bit abroad, and for very large companies, I always wonder, and I'm sure small business folks or folks working in a small business wonder, when you're with a very large company, you really feel like you're a part. I mean, that must be kind of difficult at times. And I know obviously we'll talk about the book you co-authored for entrepreneurs, but working with a real large company, what's that like when you were with Unilever or Sara Lee or RJR and Nabisco and feeling like, or what were some of those feelings there working in a very large company? Not to take anything away, obviously you interface and work with, I think you said you do consulting with very large companies.
Sure. It's just another work experience. Working in a large corporation gives you access to a lot of different kinds of resources, and having that available to you makes your job in a lot of ways easier.
Much easier.
And your position is your position, whether it's a large company or a small company. You have the same kinds of headaches, although the scale is a little different. But it's a people business. It's always a people business, no matter if it's a large or small.
And we're on Carolina People. Thank you for that, John. Good man. Good way to kick off our
Have to be high tech and high touch.
Yes. And of course, I think you said this past semester you were teaching international business, and of course, a little flair of that, the excitement of, I know, wrapped up graduation this weekend, and so many things going on. As you've arrived, and I think you said you just arrived the first of the year.
First of the year.
What have been some of the most exciting aspects right here over the last 4+ months that have really tickled your fancy since you arrived?
Well, you know that we're in transition here. We had a president who's been with us for a long time, and we have a new president who came from the provost ranks. And, Dr. DeCenzo is absolutely terrific. He's a wonderful leader. And will be a superstar for Coastal as well as for this area. I think that the rest of the state's going to look toward us as one of the beacons, one of the points of light that they can look at. So that's been exciting. I think moving back to the area, I had vacationed here quite a bit. So
is that right? Good.
I like the area.
Growing up in Virginia, and then coming down.
We didn't have a lot of beachfront in Virginia.
No, you didn't. You don't.
So, most of it is
in the Tar Heel and Palmetto states.
Just the excitement of being around a university that's that's growing.
Yes.
That has a lot of great faculty, a lot of good students coming. So that was exciting.
As you say, in the midst of some change, less than 10 days ago, we were out at Coastal for Horry County's Walk America, which I know Coastal Carolina was not only the host location, but also really helped make it happen. David Bennett there, tremendous resource, not only for the university, but for the March of Dimes. Obviously, we saw Dr. DeCenzo and his family out there walking the 3 miles. We saw Dr. Engel and his folks. I mean, so many people out there really making that a successful event, and more than $305,000 were raised.
Well, one of the things that all of us at the university feel that we've got to be part of the community, so we give back. Mm-hmm. So it's not one of those things that we just kind of sit in the classroom or in our administrative office. We make sure that we become an active part of the community. Yes. Wherever we're located, you're going to find us there.
Absolutely, and I'd be remiss not to mention Mark Mitchell, who was tremendous and very involved and is on the local board for the PD division of the March of Dimes, who I think you must work with hand in hand.
Very closely, yes.
Sure.
Oh, he's another example of just shining superstar faculty.
Yeah, Coastal has recruited some, as you say, superstars, unlike yourself, obviously, and Mark and so many. It's impressive, and your campus there, right virtually next door, is beautiful. Is absolutely beautiful.
And we'll grow.
And we'll
have a new center coming up so we can watch basketball games.
Yes, that's right. The Coastal Carolina Center, or the I can't remember the name of the big sponsor there that's going to do a lot to help expand the area. What the excitement for you, John, putting together, and I think I mentioned briefly, a book. You did a book back in 2000. Is it The American Entrepreneur's Guide? That must have been exciting.
One of the things that we try to do is look forward, and the opportunity to co-author with Judge Esche was a singular experience, and we really combined expertise to develop that. One of the things that we found most interesting, the world operates on small businesses, and so we wanted to have a template so that people who were starting a business could just say, aha, this is the way it is. This is how we should set it up. This is what we should do. And we took it from both domestic as well as we touched on the internationalization of businesses, such as using the internet, e-commerce kinds of things. So that was really exciting, and we got a lot of very positive feedback, and it's being used in a number of courses.
Is that right? Even more exciting.
So it's kind of practitioner text as opposed to just a theoretical text.
Tomorrow we've got Harold Swanner with us, who's very active with SCORE. I'm sure you're familiar with SCORE and a lot of the things SCORE does, both on a local basis as well as nationally and internationally, and interfacing with the Small Business Administration and otherwise. A lot that happens there. When you think about, you made a powerful statement there about small businesses. You think about the opportunity to team up with SCORE, to team up with professionals like yourself.
We have an incredible base throughout this area because it's a resort area, and a lot of people want to live here. A lot of people want to retire here. We have an untapped resource in our retired executives and their families. They can really add a dimension to education as well as business. And one of the things that we are doing is we are tapping those executives as mentors.
Great, good. So let's talk about that.
For our MBA program, there's a number of things that will distinguish our MBA program from others. In part, it will be these mentorships where we are partnering students in the MBA program with a business executive in their discipline.
Yes.
So that the students will have the opportunity not only to talk to their academic professors, but to also talk to somebody in the real world who's a practitioner, who's an executive, who's got other kinds of perspectives. We have internships. We have a career placement center.
Right.
We have the opportunities to do things internationally. So we set up the program very, very well.
Sure.
Destined for success.
Absolutely. And without sharing the names of any of those businesses, can you talk a little bit about some of the experiences that some of your students have had this past semester, or even anecdotally about some of the experiences they've had interfacing with local businesses? Or as you say, I know you're kicking off the mentoring program, and that'll be rolling out as well as the interns, but have there been some shining star or shining examples of students interfacing?
Well, for Coastal, we have both an undergraduate program as well as a graduate program in doing the internships. Right now, our MBA program, we have a number of students who are part-time in the MBA program, so they also work.
Oh, good, yeah.
And the internship portion really is just starting.
Okay.
So we typically want students between their second semester and their third semester to do their internship, and that's where we are right now, is the starting of that. But we work with major corporations. We had Citigroup in.
I think you'd mentioned Citigroup was in recently. That must be exciting. Giving them having an interest.
We have about 5 different divisions of Citigroup that work with Coastal. And we have a number of folks from students, I should say, from the School of Business and elsewhere. The Wall family has provided generous support for those kinds of programs. So the Wall Fellows, we call them, have opportunities to do internships globally.
Good.
And so a lot of them go to Citigroup in New York and London and other places. And that gives them a better dimension. They're a much better graduate. They have a lot better knowledge. They come back and help educate others.
Oh, yeah. We saw some very large companies recognized recently at a conference, the International Computer Security Conference, which was held in town a couple weeks ago. And IBM very well represented, Dr. Stamey and Jean-Louis Lassay and Steve Shield, the whole crew, helping to make that such a successful event. Folks in from all over, but the IBM representation alone, to see those kind of folks and interfacing with students, both undergrads as well as, I know, some of your folks.
Well, a lot of our faculty have contacts with companies, so it's a mutual benefit to the companies to have faculty that understand the business and can teach their students about that. So it's a great relationship that we have here.
And of course, with your international business background, will you be trying to bring a good bit of that into the program and expanding, or I think you'd said maybe a little more general, will there be a goal there? It must be difficult having such a wide background in international business.
We want our students to get that cultural immersion. We think that it's important to understand how the rest of the world lives. It seems to me that most of the students, just in general, believe that the world ends at the shores of the Atlantic and Pacific, and while we represent less than 5% of the world's population, so it's important for us to get our students abroad, somewhere. We'd like to add a language component, foreign language component, to the program.
Good.
It's not a requirement now. We certainly would like to have internships. So that the students can go to other countries to see
intern in other countries.
Oh, yes.
Wow, great.
And we have those set up. So as our graduates are getting to the point of graduation, I should say, in the MBA program, they'll have that opportunity. They can study abroad. We can exchange them with other major MBA programs, particularly in Western Europe, and they can work there. So, we're a relatively mature MBA program, although we're just starting. And so those are the positives.
Are there some aspects from the international business world that are beginning to make their way into U.S. culture and the business world? You think about leaving Charlottesville yourself, heading into the Unilever, was it the Unilever family, and joining a company like that?
Yeah, Anglo-Dutch. So right away, headquarters was in Utrecht. So,
right. So right out of the gate for you began to see things. Are there things from your early days, or even over your tenure there working in an international environment, that you're now beginning to see really pervading the U.S. business world?
Everything is global. I mean, if you read the front page of some of the papers last week, you've seen that Toyota has now eclipsed General Motors as the #1 car company. And so that's the tip of the iceberg, and I think the people are just now realizing that, whoops, they're playing in our sandbox and they're winning. And so, that's what we're seeing, is an increased level of globalization. So if you don't speak Spanish, some trip down to the the resort area down here to the beaches, you'll find that a lot of the entry-level service workers only speak Spanish.
Wow, John.
So you have to have that, and that's coming.
And that would be, of course, that would not be indicative of Unilever necessarily, but that would be indicative of, and it may be of Unilever. I mean, they may be expanding that way as well. But for folks, I mean, in the Dutch environment, I was thinking of, I mean, would that be the language component that you'd be thinking of if you said you were going to wrap it in with the MBA program? It would be Spanish. Is that right?
For this area, it
Right.
would certainly be Spanish. But I think that understanding Mandarin Chinese.
Right. Yeah, I was about to ask what some of the other
3 or 4
languages.
times the number of people
Sure,
there.
sure.
In another 10, 15 years, you're going to find that the GDP of China will be right there with the U.S.
Wow.
So if you believe he who has the gold rules, that money is shifting.
You spent some time over there as well, John.
Yes. I was a little while ago in Shanghai, and to see the building, and I think 1/3 of the world's large cranes are located just in the city of Shanghai.
Oh, Lord.
The world's cranes.
Are you serious?
Oh, yes.
That's a real figure.
You know, those real. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh,
A third
so
of
that's,
the world's large cranes are located in Shanghai right now.
yeah, and so they're putting up buildings all
And the rest are in Dubai and other places.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah, it's in Singapore,
Yeah.
some of the larger growing areas. So, well, the whole thing, I think that what the viewer really needs to understand is that that we used to have a sandbox here that was pretty much ours.
Right.
It no longer is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's important for Americans to get abroad, and certainly for the business students to do that.
Is there now a catch-up effort? We've just got a couple of minutes there, John. You know, you mentioned Toyota there, and of course they've got a tremendous presence in the U.S. We think about states like Ohio or otherwise that have a gigantic presence of Toyota and other very large.
I don't know what the
international
number
companies.
is, but
Yeah, gigantic number, I'm sure, and in other states. But as we see the infusion of those cultures into the U.S., and will there be a catch-up, or is it? I'm just
well, I think that American innovation, and that's one of the things that we preached in the Entrepreneur's Book, American innovation is superior. We can't have a pat yourself on the back kind of mentality, though. We need to train our students well. We need to train our workers to create value.
Right.
It's not just good enough to add value anymore. You must create value. And those kinds of people, the Bill Gates of the world, really know how to do that. And we need to take pages from their book and become more like them. So as an educator, we need to challenge our students to think differently. And for the U.S., we really need to show them what the rest of the world is like so they can start to think in a different manner.
And you want them to even be encouraged to think differently in very large companies. I mean, which is difficult at times because as you said, they're tremendous resources, but oftentimes.
Well, a lot of those large companies are now well populated with folks from all over the world. I mean, if you take Citigroup and FedEx and KPMG and GE, when you walk into their headquarters, you can find 7, 8, 10 different languages being spoken.
Is that
so,
right?
You know, and a manager today needs to be able to work with all those different kinds of cultures, and that's what makes it a people business. If you don't have that skill, you're not going to be very successful.
John, how exciting. Being involved from the ground up here as Coastal really begins to expand, as you said, being on the cusp of the new Dr. DeCenzo and Eddie Dyer moving in, the tremendous things that those two as a team will be able to do to grow the coastal community and grow the community writ large. It's very exciting. I'm sure you must be thrilled, you and your family.
Oh, absolutely. And we're really looking forward to a great future here.
Getting your 4 grandchildren over here. Yeah, have they been over yet? Yeah.
Not down to the beach.
They will very soon.
Very
That's
shortly.
right. Very soon.
June
Thanks
is
so
coming.
much for
Greg,
being with
thank
us
you
this
very much.
morning.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with John Locks coming up next. Golly, I wish you could have heard him talking off camera. It was so exciting to hear him. And you heard those early words, small business runs the world. Even though John interfaces worked in very large companies, and he knows, and they really help keep the world going. But those key words, small business runs the world. I wish you could have heard him off camera sharing about some great advice he was given to a local small business owner about an opportunity for them to expand. You know, we didn't get to talk to him about his work as the past president and chairman of a Boys and Girls Club there at Mississippi State, around that area, and the excitement of being involved early on. We talked a little bit about co-authoring a book. Think about that, the American Entrepreneur's Guide, and the excitement in the first part of this century to be involved in helping get the word out for small business owners as well as large business employees, folks that are thinking about going out on their own to be involved in the small business world, either as an employee or as an employer. There's a lot that happens every day. John's also looking to expand, and the entire university as a whole, the tremendous business MBA program here at Coastal. You can go online to learn more about the program at coastal.edu. That's coastal.edu. Click on academics, and then click on the MBA program. There's some tremendous information as well. How often do you get a guest that'll give you his direct line to give him a call? He wants to get the word out about this tremendous program. Pick up the phone. If you don't have access to the internet, pick up the phone and dial 843-349-2469. That's 349-2469. You'll hear some of those words of encouragement, either the same words he was given last week to a small business owner, or the words of encouragement about thinking about Coastal and its MBA program as a route for you in your life.